Sleep.
Okay, let's do it. So, what comes to mind when you think about growing up in New York? So,
Yeah, actually in Brooklyn. I was
Brooklyn.
born in
Okay.
New York, but I grew up in Brooklyn. Well, I remember the beautiful spring weather. Very beautiful because from the change from the winter to the spring, it's very dramatic. And there are a lot of flowers growing and trees. And I lived
Okay.
in Brooklyn, which had a lot of trees, maple trees. And then the summer comes in June,
Yeah.
and it's very warm and sultry. So I remember those springs.
And you like the summer.
Well, I always liked summer, and I liked this last April this year because it was very hot.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I think. Okay.
Okay. And so, what did you love to do as a kid before high school?
Well, as I think I said earlier on, play guns. When we would
Guns.
hide and have a gun, a toy gun, and try to shoot the German guy because it was against the Japanese or the Germans. So
Yeah.
some guys were Germans and some were Americans, and of course the Americans always won. And so we would
For
play
sure.
games by hiding and invading people's garages or to play the game, or sometimes behind a tree. So that's what I enjoyed doing. I also enjoyed skating,
Skating with
roller
roller
skating.
skating.
I
Yeah.
didn't have the other type, and I don't think I would be successful. And collecting stamps. I collected stamps, walking, going with my father, walking along the railroad, which was near our house. That's more or less what I like to do.
And
When I was a kid.
you used to like, till today, you like trains.
Yeah, I always like trains because trains are very beautiful. Locomotives like the one here. I think Daniel put that on for me.
Yeah, this is a very beautiful
Beautiful.
screensaver. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what I liked. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And with whom did you play? Do you remember any of your friends?
Yeah, I played with classmates, some classmates. I had a tomboy girlfriend whom I used to play with too, Eileen Griffin. And there were other people in the street whose names I'm not always remember some of them. One was Raymond, and there were others on the street. There was a gang of people on the street.
Malcolm.
Malcolm, yes, but he was on the other block and occasionally, not always, not that constant. I don't think he was allowed out that much. On Sunday he never came out because they were Protestant, and you don't go out on Sunday and play with the hoi polloi with the common kids. You don't
really?
mix. You don't mix. Yeah.
You don't mixture.
You don't mix with.
We don't mix.
I'm being a little bit ironic, of course.
Yeah.
Malcolm won't hear this, so we don't have to worry about it. No, but
Yes, I won't share it with him.
just a little bit of jive, so just to make fun. Okay, and to keep it this interesting, so otherwise people will fall asleep.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. And what did you love to do in high school?
Well, I like to study Spanish and
Yeah.
to speak Spanish when I had the chance, and just study and watch television. I used to like to watch television because I had good television. Because
What did you watch?
we watched the live programs of musicals and reviews, comedians. There was Sid Caesar, Imogene Coca, and other comedians were very, very good. Watch the news. Always watch the news when we had television. We had television in 1947.
Oh.
So that was even when I was in elementary school. But when I went to high school, there were also very good live programs, and so I enjoyed them very much.
Was it a color TV or
No,
black
that
and
came
white?
much later.
Well,
That came much later. I don't remember when, but I was in Brazil when that came.
I see. And I remember that you like to listen to radio.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because I like to listen to the radio, particularly because of the foreign languages. I used to always be fascinated with the different sounds, and I used to listen to the Italian radio, and listen to the German radio and listen, of course, to the Spanish radio. And I used to lie on the floor near it so I could understand it. So I understand La Voz Hispana del Aire. And La Voz Hispana del Aire. La Voz Hispana del Aire. So I was able to get a lot of, and they would play music. And I really enjoyed that radio. And I think radio is very important in Brazil. And they should have more programs in foreign languages, which they don't have, for some chauvinistic or fear of foreigners
Yeah, that's
in the
true.
country.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't tell Aldo Rebelo I said that.
No, I won't tell. I won't share it with him.
Yeah.
This interview.
I wrote an article where I criticized him again, but that's no problem. He thinks I'm a crank, probably.
Okay, and what do you remember most about your teenage years?
Well, what I remember about my teenage years, I think I told you. Didn't I tell you?
Yes.
Yeah.
The same thing as in the high school, yeah?
Yeah, I think I studying Spanish. High school, I probably did a lot less physical activity, probably a lot less because I moved to a different neighborhood, a different street, and so maybe I did less physical activity. But I liked high school. I liked the activities in high school, the physical education, and later on I became to be the assistant to one of the teachers. I was the grade advisor, consejero, and he invited me to help him. And I didn't get any money for that, but we spoke Spanish.
Oh, I see. That was good, yeah.
That was good. It was very useful.
So you learned Spanish
Yeah.
at that time?
Yeah, I was trying to speak Spanish. I also had a friend, Frank McGuire, and we used to take long walks and talk, and he liked to study, and also he studied Spanish, and we communicated a lot.
I see.
Okay?
Okay, and well, now a different question. What do you remember most about your mom?
Yeah, she liked to have dinner out.
Okay.
She liked to have dinner out when my father didn't come home because she didn't have to cook. And thank God she could
That's
go out,
smart,
have
yeah.
a nice dinner, and smoke in the restaurant because my father didn't like to have her smoking. He had given up smoking, which was wise. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lived so long. But she lived as long as he did, practically.
Yeah.
But anyway, she liked to have dinner out and also have a drink, have a Manhattan. And this was good because I like to have a good fish dinner. And I like the tomato juice or the crab meat cocktail. And she also liked to talk about words in English because she would have to make them in Gregg and Pittman shorthand, and she liked that. So those are the two things she liked.
Okay, and what was most important to her? What do you think was very important to her?
Having enough money. I would think having enough money, yeah. Not having too little, and maybe not having too much.
I see. And so, what about your dad, Grandpa? What do you remember most about him?
Well, he wanted to become a lawyer. That was a life desire, but it was never really realized. But he did study a lot, and but he got too old and wasn't able to do it. At 82, he was taking the bar exam.
At 82?
82,
Really?
but he was practically blind. So he had to have a flashlight to be able to see the damn test.
We were already in Brazil, yeah? You were here.
No, when he died?
No. When he was 82.
Oh yes, I was in Brazil.
He was in Brazil, yes, for sure. And
I
he
came
was
in
still
70.
and he was still trying to
Yeah. Well, he studied, and then he didn't do well because of, I guess, his because he had a business to tend to,
yeah.
and he got overwhelmed with that.
What business?
Insurance broker, no. So we had to do that, and I don't think he was able to do both at one time well. But anyway, he had to stop law, and then he gave it up. But then he discovered that there's a loophole in the law. When he was in Long Island, when he retired, he was able to he discovered that he could work for a lawyer. He had been in law school for a couple of years.
Oh,
He didn't finish, he didn't get the degree, but if you work for a lawyer as an assistant or an apprentice, you can take the bar exam.
oh, really?
So he did. And I think he took it about 3 or 4 times. I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 3 times, but he never got through.
I see.
Handwriting is very important, my mother would say, and she thought that's why he didn't get through, because he didn't have a good handwriting. It was hard to read. So I always, when I write a paper, in high school, I always wrote very clearly
Yeah.
so they would see it, and I would even underline words in red, which impressed everybody.
That was good. So he liked to study.
I think he did, but I think he may have underestimated the price, because to study law is no easy business. I don't think he would give up a Saturday afternoon. I mean, I didn't watch him to see, but I don't think he had the patience to sit with it.
I see.
You have to pay the rent.
For sure, yeah. Okay. So, well, what do you think? What was most important to him?
Well, becoming a lawyer,
Becoming a lawyer, okay.
but he also liked gems, minerals.
Minerals.
Gems, yes. And thanks to him, I know, I can tell the difference between an amethyst and a zircon,
I can
and
tell
mica,
the difference, yeah.
and a ruby and a diamond and an emerald, because
Really?
he had a very, very valuable collection of gems. Must have cost a fortune. I'm sure he sold it for a very expensive car. I think it was about $10,000 or more. I don't know. Maybe it was half that. But he had a very nice collection of gems, and I learned a lot. And he was colorblind, so he used to take me to a lot in Brooklyn, an empty lot, where there were a lot of stones, and he would ask me, "What color is this?" And I would have to tell him what color it was, because he couldn't determine sometimes greens and reds.
Oh, really?
He was colorblind.
I
Downtown.
was colorblind.
Colorblind, yeah.
Oh,
Colorblind, so I had to help him.
I see that. I never knew that. This is new for me.
Yeah, well,
It's a new information for me.
There's so many things I could tell you.
This is new.
I could tell you lots of things.
Eu tenho gene recessivo de daltonismo.
Oh, really? You have?
Yes, of course. Because if he had, you carry that, I carry that.
I mean, I'm not colorblind.
But you carry the genes.
I carry the gene. Did I give it to you?
No, you didn't.
I'm
because
sorry
I'm
if I
not. Yeah, of course you gave it to me, because I must carry it.
Okay, but you don't see any signs.
No, any signs, but I would have to marry someone that carries also that genes.
Yeah, well.
So 2 recessive genes can meet together and.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a high price to pay to get married to someone to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. But this is, we never know.
You never know, right?
Robert can tell much about this genes.
Yeah, sure.
About genes.
Sure.
Okay.
So he also liked to bring home different cheeses. He had these suddenly surge of doing something different. Bring home a lot of cheeses, different cheeses, or bring home different jellies.
Oh, that's good.
But not only once, only twice. The cheeses once and the jellies once. But I remember he liked that. Or he'd bring something different home. No?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
He liked words too. He liked to have a good vocabulary. And we exchanged our.
Okay.
As we grew up, as I grew up, and he went back to high school. He didn't have a high school education. He went back to high school when he was in 1942. When he was 42, he went back to high school. He finished high school, then he went to Brooklyn College and took 2 years at Brooklyn College in the evening, and then he was able to go to law school.
Oh, interesting.
That's how we did it.
Well, he was determined.
Yeah, he was determined to do it. He wanted to become a lawyer. Although my Aunt Dorothy, and she worked for a lawyer. She was worked for a lawyer in a court secretary. Very good job, made a lot of money. But she always adored lawyers and wanted me to be one. And when I told her that I wanted to be a Spanish teacher, she poo-pooed that. She thought that was awful. They're a dime a dozen. But I became a Spanish teacher anyway, and then things worked
and
out. And
everything's okay, yeah.
things worked out the way one door opens another.
For sure, yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that your father had a very difficult life.
Had a good way.
Difficult life. In the
Yes, he
beginning.
did have a very difficult life as a child because he was orphaned. He was an orphan. He was put in a boarding school, and I don't know how things were there. I think children can be very cruel to one another.
Yeah.
And were made of some bullies. He confessed that his own brother was a tease,
Yes.
annoying.
To provoke
Annoying.
them,
So I think, and then he was on his own in 18, and he went to sea. He got on a ship and went to Honduras and to Spain, and he was off the coast of Spain on a ship, and he would shovel coal into the furnace.
really?
Yeah.
To,
Another thing,
to heat the engines, yeah?
Yeah, but he wasn't in the Army or the Navy. He was young yet, and he was 18. Was 1918 because he's born in 1900. So he'd missed the First World War because he was too young, and he missed the Second World War because he was too old and had a child.
Okay, but he lived through the Great Recession.
Yeah, he was a child in this deception. I think he only had, my mother said, he only had one suit and one pair of shoes when they were married practically. He was always well dressed, but I think he had one suit and was I have a picture of it somewhere here, where he's very well dressed, so I don't know whether, well, that was when they were married, but she said he only had one suit. It was a very good suit, I'll tell you that.
I see. Well,
Impeccable. Impeccable dresser, beautiful dresser, always very, very neat. I never took after him really in that vein.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see the next questions. Okay.
Number 9.
Number 9. That's it. If grandmother and grandfather had a message to you or their grandchildren, what do you think it is?
Well, they can't write because they're no longer with us.
Of course.
And they also they wouldn't know how to use the internet. So I don't see how they could get a message to any one of us. And so I would say that I never knew. I only knew one grandparent. And for a short time, when I was a little boy, my grandmother on my mother's side, and she came to live with us because she was amputated. Her leg was amputated, so she lived with us for 4 years.
But I'm talking about grandpa, my grandpa, your father and your mother. If they had a message.
Well, yeah.
Because this is
grandpa,
and grandma, mine. This is mine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well.
If they had a message, what do you think it would be? This is. Or they wouldn't mind, maybe.
Well, they never really. They're not Brazilian grandparents.
Yeah.
They were much kept to themselves, much too much, and they had a very small house. And my mother was afraid to fly, and my father wanted us to be left alone and do what he wanted to do and study law and do those things. So I don't know whether in life, they didn't show, being very honest, they didn't show that much interest. Although my mother always sent you guys money.
That's it. I remember this clearly.
Yeah. Sent you money.
And we were very anxious
to get the money,
because it was a good amount of money. It was in dollars. It was valuable.
Yeah, I remember that. But sure, I mean, she cared for them, but it's in a different culture, a different way, and we were the fact that I think she was happy that I left the States because she felt there was a lot of turmoil in the States in the 70s and 75, a lot of turmoil, racial tension, Vietnam War. So she was maybe glad that I was out and I was happy here.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. But she thought of you. It wasn't my grandfather. I don't think he really even knew, or whether she even told him, "Hey, I'm sending money to the kids." I don't think she told him.
Oh, okay. Probably he didn't know.
No, well, because she had her own account at that time, and she had Social Security, and when she was working, she would send money too. So that's the situation, yeah.
Okay. And number 10. What do you remember about your grandparents?
Well, I think I said that my grandmother,
Yeah.
I knew her, and I felt when I saw her as a child.
Your grandmother by your...
My mother's side.
Your mother's
forget
side.
my grandfather and my grandmother on my father's side, because he was orphaned very, very young, and then he put his 6 kids in boarding school. So I think it was my grandmother's name on my father's side.
But they died. Yeah,
she died. She died. It was Sabina. I think it was Aunt Sabina or Grandmother Sabina.
But his father was still alive.
Yeah, he lived. Yeah, he lived. I don't know how long he lived, but I think he lived. I don't remember when he passed on, but I was in Brazil when he passed on. But,
I see.
But I never met him. He lived in New York, but I never met him.
Okay.
I don't know what happened with my mother and father. My father with his own father. I don't think they were that close. So I never met him. The only woman I met was my grandmother on my mother's side, whom I felt was very cold. Maybe I didn't realize it then, but now I do because I'm a grandfather. So I realize that I don't think I was ever cold to my children or cold to grandchildren. No?
Yeah,
she
you're
was
not.
cold, but then she was better when she came to live with us because she depended on us because she was an invalid and had to wheel herself out of the bed to sit in a chair, and I would go and talk with her.
Okay.
And she was quite different, quite appreciative of the talk and smiling and warm. So things changed because she had a home.
Yeah, for sure.
She had a home, and it was my mother who was the only brother or sister who took care. The others didn't take care of her. They didn't. She did. My mother took care of her. Mother had a lot of initiative.
Okay. Well, which is the... Do you remember? Okay. 11. How did you meet Mom?
I met her in São José de Rio Pardo, where she was attending the Semana Euclidiana, and I met her there. And socially we met at the club because I was invited as a foreigner by the Brazilians are very, very sociable people. Sure. And they invited me to go, the students invited me and people. They invited me to go to the club. And then I met her and her father and mother and uncle and aunt
and everybody.
People there, the family.
Okay, great. How did you choose your career, and what was your favorite part of it?
Well, the Spanish was I was going to be a Spanish teacher, going to be a language teacher, I thought, because I liked Spanish in high school, and I majored it in college. I majored in it. My degree is in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I would either do that, I would go into college teaching or high school teaching. So I did both. I did high school teaching and college teaching. And I always wanted to be a teacher, and that's what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
And what made you successful?
Well, successful is a very, very, very varied term. What one means by successful. To some people, success means making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Making loads of money and being very rich. and or being a powerful person, fame, but I think if you can be successful if you're not afraid of work.
Okay. This
Okay.
is very good.
Yeah, you're not afraid of work, you can be successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
think it makes
Totally
it brings
agree
down
with
that word of success.
Yes.
Yeah. But my father once said to me that he wanted to be a lawyer, and he said he was walking down the legal district in Brooklyn where the courts were, and he saw a lawyer, a friend of his, and he said he got out of the car and he had success on his face.
Success on his
Success on his face. Well, okay. I listened, but I didn't really go for that. I mean, I don't know what you mean by that. No, success. You're
It's
just
different for
stinking rich.
Yes, it's different.
Making a lot of money, no?
For every person, success will mean something different. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. What did you believe about yourself that helped you become successful and deal with hard times?
Try, and try again.
Okay, very good.
And I don't think I really had hard times. My parents had a hard time because of the depression.
Okay.
I mean, I had problems in work and in running a department, being a chairman. I had tensions there. In Brazil, I had to learn how to handle Brazilians, some of them, who would be anti-American. And there were ways of doing that.
Wow. This is, yeah.
Yeah, I had to work myself up to ingratiate, or at least to be neutral. I mean, they don't hate me or they don't like me.
I see that.
See, they don't like me, but they let me alone. They leave me alone. There are lots of things you can do to...
Yes, you had to overcome that.
Yeah, I realize that you can do that if you try.
Yes.
Try, smile. When I went to the Unicampi, not because of being an American, but because of being in a department which was new and was seen as a threat to linguistics, there were people there who associated me with the powers that be. So when I became chairman, I decided that I had to change because they hated the department. They hated it, some people from linguistics and literary theory. So I decided that I would greet everybody. If you're angry with somebody, a colleague is angry, that's your problem. I'm not going to be angry with him. He didn't do anything to me. So I would be sociable. And then I decided that I would have to, I don't know how I got the idea, but I put on a cabinet near the door different figures, like I put on a twig, and I put on a piece of string, and I put on some plastic fruit. What do you call that fruit? Abacaxi, a pineapple.
Pineapple,
And,
yeah, I see.
A
I
cucumber.
remember. Pepino.
Yeah, and then they would ask me what they were, and I had a cockroach and other things, and they would ask me, people, what are you doing? What is that? People who would come in and see it.
Yeah.
Because they knew they could talk to me because I was accessible.
I see.
So, what is that? Essa é uma barata. O chefe não pode andar de barata tonta. What's that twig? And it's surprising because these people are in literature, in language. They don't see the connection, but I did.
I see.
So
The twig? What was the twig? Twig?
The twig. A twig. What was that? I don't remember. I'll think about that. Why was the twig? The twig. Yeah. No, it was more than a twig. It was bigger. It was a branch.
A branch.
Yeah. O chefe pode quebrar o galho.
I see that. Twig, a twig. Okay.
It was semiotic jokes.
I remember when you used to took that to meetings.
Oh yeah, I did that when we had a terrible meeting.
Yeah. So you brought with you the pepino, abacaxi.
A real one.
The real one. Oh, okay. Because you had a sense of humor. You always had that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good.
I learned that. It took a little while, but I learned that.
Okay, 15.
Yeah.
What times in your life truly tested your middle? Middle? Is that? And what did you learn about yourself by dealing or not dealing with them? I guess you
Yeah,
might have
okay.
answered that.
Organizing a department
Yeah, I see.
and trying to be fair to both sides, the opposition, and people who may not like me for other reasons, but the majority elected me, so they had to put up with me. And I tried to be fair and to deal with people, because people are often mysterious and complicated. So I did my best, and I had some administrative problems, and but we solved them with patience.
I see. Okay, great. What 3 events most shaped your life?
1, learning Spanish. 2, doing linguistics. And 3, teaching and traveling. And living in Brazil, studying in Brazil.
Okay.
Okay?
How was it for you not having any brother and sister?
Resignation, because I heard my mother say that she couldn't have any more children. She said it to a friend in the living room when I was in my room, and I can't have a baby anymore because of a problem in the womb. So I heard that and said, well, that's the way it is.
Okay.
What can you do, no?
So you never
Yeah.
bother much with that?
No, yeah. At that age, I don't think I really liked babies. I was too young anyway. You know.
I see.
Yeah. Too young. Didn't get to like children much later.
Okay, and 18. What do you remember about when each of us was born? Okay.
You all were very cute babies.
Cute. Is there any cute baby?
What?
I think babies sometimes are not that cute.
Well, when they're born,
like a knee, yeah, you know.
Miguel is cute,
It's
and
cute,
they get
yeah.
cuter, and they learn how to. They learn. Brazilian babies kiss their parents, and they're much more affected to their grandparents than American children. So I think that's what that is. They're very cute, and of course children can get at a certain age rambunctious. Yeah? They can get problems, but that's what I think of you all.
Okay, but
And you were healthy too.
okay. And what do you remember? Where were you at the day of when each of us were born? Do you remember that?
The date when I was born?
No. The day that we were born. Do you remember where you were?
Okay, with Marcia, I took her to the hospital with your mother.
Okay.
With you, I was in Elmira, teaching in a college in the summer with a very good job, and I got returned to see you.
Okay.
The same evening, got back late at night and went to the hospital in the morning. With Bobby, I remember taking Robert to the hospital with your mother. And Paul was here.
Yes, in Brazil.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Working here. So I remember all of them. I don't remember the hospitals. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. And what 3 words would you say represented your approach to parenting, and why? This is interesting.
Okay.
3 words.
Maintain a happy home.
Okay.
With some laughter, and try to, in spite of every other tensions in the home, to try to. I think the Portuguese word for that is por panos quentes.
Ah, okay.
Okay, it's good that we should have lots of panos quentes.
Yes, I learned that from you. Any other word? Any other word? Any other idea about it?
What?
Any other idea
About what?
About this question, because
About question
3
19?
words. Yes, 3 words. Any other word about it? No.
Whether maintain a happy home with laughter has 5 words.
Okay, you made a sentence. Okay, no problem. What message do you have for us, Marcia, Edward, Robert, and Paul, that you want us always to keep in mind?
I may have said it before. Keep together in spite of everything.
Yes, okay.
And
Yeah, you
underline-
have already told me that. Yeah.
And
Okay.
underline everything.
Okay.
Everything includes
Everything.
everything.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. This is a great advice. When do you think about Mom? How would you describe her?
That's a very difficult question. Very difficult question.
This is difficult.
It's a difficult question. I don't know. I don't have enough verbal power to say anything. So I think that one that's not easy, no?
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
What message do you have for her that you want her always to keep in mind?
Well, I think we've talked about that, but I think it's probably also the fact that we would want you to stay together,
Okay.
be together, in spite of everything.
Okay.
So I think she would want the same thing. I think we agree on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, let me see.
23.
23. Because I don't have my glasses here, so
Yeah.
trying to read.
I know how it is.
What 3 words would you say best describe who you try to be in life, and how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be myself. I just tried to be myself. You know, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
But I think how do I want to be remembered? Well, I don't know whether that's up to people who want to remember me, and they remember me for different reasons too. But I think the things that I would like to be remembered for is honesty and a sense of humor. Those 2 things. Another one I could throw in maybe, love of work.
Yeah. Okay, great. This is when they think about their careers, what do you want your children and grandchildren to focus on? So,
Okay, I want them to focus on doing their best. And I don't want them to do anything they don't want to do. I don't want them to be a lawyer if they don't want to be a lawyer.
okay.
If they want to be a politician, be an honest one, which is very difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, that's right. Okay. No, it's 24. Yeah, no, 20,
Number 25.
25. Sorry. What have you learned about other people in life?
People are unpredictable. It's about it. A mystery. Some people are a mystery. Okay.
Okay. What do you think the world needs more of right now?
Honesty, transparency,
Honesty
and
and
transparency.
Okay.
And transparency.
What do you believe people want the most in life?
Well, a place to live, some schooling, enough money. Mostly, enough money.
Okay. What were the 3 best decisions you have ever made? I guess you already.
Yeah, I've said it
Talked about
before,
it,
but
Yeah.
well, I think one thing would be buying a flat in Peruíbe. Buying an apartment in Peruíbe was very important because it's Brazil and it's not a big city, and everybody grew up there. We like beaches. Your mother likes beaches very much. So that was one thing that was very important to do. I couldn't have a house because it wouldn't have too much work. An apartment, you just close it up, and that's
For
much
sure.
better. And moving to Brazil, of course, I think is important. Buying a flat in Peruíbe, and leaving the Puki, resigning in the Puki, because if
Okay.
I had stayed there, I would not have had the advantages that I have now,
Okay.
to put it mildly.
Okay, so don't put your paper in front of you.
What?
The paper. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is bad.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
This is okay. No,
Sorry.
I'm watching.
Please forgive me, audience.
Audience. Okay, and Peruíbe, it's a place that I like a lot,
Sure.
for sure, because I grew up there.
Yeah, you all did.
Yes, we all did.
Yeah, you all identify with it.
Yes, we
Marcia?
identified a lot, and because it was our playground,
Right.
Peruíbe.
I think Marcia came back. For one of the reasons she came back from the state, didn't stay there, was Peruíbe.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I never asked her, but I would think that's
Yes.
good. I mean, it was something to come back to. I mean,
Yeah.
because a lot of people who are leaving, they don't have anything to come back to. A lot of people just go there because they don't have an education and they have to work as do menial work.
Yeah,
Nothing to come
that's
back
true.
to because it's worse here.
For
For
sure.
many-
for
and now
sure.
it's getting worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the Haitians are leaving. The Haitians are going to Chile.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's
Situation is very difficult
very
right
bad.
now.
Sure.
But
It'll get better though.
Peruíbe is a place that I always liked when I arriving at Peruíbe.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
And it is also good because we can get together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get together, sure.
Yeah, so
And you had friends there,
yeah, for sure.
friends which are still with you.
So this is a very special place,
Yeah,
for sure.
Sure.
And I'm completely lost here.
I think now,
Okay, 27.
yeah,
What do you believe people? Oh no, this I already.
29.
29. Yeah. Okay. What are you most proud of in life? Proud of in life? Yes.
My children and my grandchildren.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. What were 5 of the most positive moments of your life?
The 5 most important
Positive.
positive moments of your life. Yeah. Somehow, for some reason, I didn't answer that. I skipped it somehow. Not for any fear of the question, but let me just think a bit about that. The 5 most important moments in my life. Well, the birth of the children, which came healthy, that's very important. A marriage, which lasted some time. Doing a doctorate
Okay.
at the PUCI. Moving up in the career. I think those were some of the positive moments. And writing things that I like to write.
Yeah.
That gave me pleasure.
Okay.
Okay?
What message would you like to share with your family?
Keep together always.
Okay. What are you most thankful for?
Good health relatively over the years. At 81 and a half or 80 and a half, I can still write. I can crank out papers which nobody reads.
Oh, some people read. What is your advice in dealing with hard times?
If hard times come, I would suggest knock on doors. And if you don't knock them down, politely of course, try to reinvent oneself.
Okay.
Continue studying. Relate to others. Go to lectures. Go to talk to people. Be visible.
Okay. That's very good advice. Okay. Do you want to add something up?
Well, I want to thank you for this interview. I like the questions. They're very, very provocative and thoughtful, and they're open-ended, and I could talk for years. But I think I've said what is important, the essence. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
I thank you.
No problem.
I promise I will make you look good in the video.
Well, that's going to be very difficult because I didn't have any cosmetics or any makeup on. But anyway, again, what you see is what you get.
Okay.